this is something I've never experienced before. It is a new industry and I really need to work on it.
Wrapping my head around a lot of the technical terms and that sort of stuff. I know I was quite fortunate doing a lot of the certifications through Cyber Revolution gave me that head start and understanding.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Cyber Revolution podcast. Thanks for joining us yet again. I'm Adam Hewitt, the CEO of Cyber Revolution. Today I'm joined by Ben Wallis. So Ben Wallis has been on the podcast before. He's been with a student with us for some time now, and I thought we want to get Ben back on to kind of describe his journey from studies all the way into the industry, and he's now been in the industry for, around 6 to 8 months, Ben?
Yeah, around that 9 months now. Yep.
8, 9 months now. So it's really good to get some insights of the whole journey from start all the way through to, I guess, where you're at now. I know everyone will be keen to hear some of your updates, mate. And so first off, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thanks for coming on. And so before we get into your story and what you're doing now, I'm really keen to hear more about that. I just want to give the new listeners of the podcast a little bit of an overview of who this podcast is for, whether it's worth listening to or not. So Cyber Revolution, we're Australia's only dedicated cybersecurity training and placement institute. We basically help people find their first job in cybersecurity. More and more, as all of these cyber attacks keep happening, we're getting lots of inquiries talking about asking us how people can get into this industry, wanting to know what skills you need to learn, whether you need to be an IT expert to get into cybersecurity. There are a lot of common misconceptions around the industry, and it's just generally mysterious, I think, cybersecurity when you hear it. And so this podcast is to break some of those misconceptions and really just educate people on what cybersecurity is and how you can land your first job in the industry. Okay, so if that resonates, if it sounds interesting, then this is the podcast for you. All right, Benny, let's get into it, mate. I want to kick things off. Obviously, we last spoke to you. You had just finished your academy program. You've kind of got into the industry. Why don't you give everyone a little bit of an update where you're at now?
Yeah, 100%. So since finishing, just getting stuck into engagements. I'm pushing on to really wanting to get to that next level of consultant, which is essentially going to be running my own engagements and that sort of stuff. As much as I am assisting with engagements with senior consultants and that sort of stuff, I'm also trying to take the lead and I guess, give them the easy seat of just taking notes and everything while I, run all the workshops and interviews, along with, trying to take the reins on writing the reports and ensuring all the comms with the clients are up to scratch.
Also, I guess I probably should have given a bit of a better background. So Ben was a student of ours, got his certifications. He's working now in the industry. We've had him on the podcast before, and we spoke originally about the role that he just got into. He's basically, essentially, I'd say he got the training wheels off after the first 6 to 8 months, and now you're just getting into client facing. And you mentioned the word engagement. What does that mean for some of the listeners?
Yeah, it's engagement. It's just another word for job, I guess. We do a variety of different sort of engagements, whether it's working against different cybersecurity frameworks and auditing companies or assisting companies in implementation of those frameworks to make sure they're up to scratch and on their journey towards things like certification, towards the ISO standard and that sort of stuff.
Yep. Awesome, mate. And so I want to get into more of that stuff, but briefly tell us a little bit about your first 6 months, obviously not knowing anything new industry. How was that for you? How did you find that training process?
Yeah, it was good. The first, let's say, 3 months, it was like drinking from a fire hose. Definitely a lot to take in, a lot to pick up. Having not much idea about the industry was kind of a blessing in disguise, I feel. I wasn't intimidated about what I was about to learn or anything for the sake of I didn't actually know what I was about to learn. So that was always fun. The 3 months after that, it was just down to shadowing. So just a lot of sitting there and trying to learn the lingo and take in how the consultants and everything like that are conducting these engagements. So then, after that, as you said, to lose the training wheels and then start doing it myself.
Awesome, mate. So you've just started doing that now. Obviously, that can be pretty daunting, right? Going out and actually doing the work in that role for the first time and having people then, I guess, as you said, looking at you and shadowing you. How have you found that process from transitioning of listening to now being client facing? Has that been a bit of a daunting process as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately, the reason I got into GRC, I was a recruitment consultant in the past, so it was a lot of client facing. It was a lot of doing my own like work with clients one-on-one. So that's why I put my foot forward and went down the GRC path in the first place. So I did have that sort of soft skill background already. It's the knowledge factor, and then ensuring that you have the right things to say is definitely a little daunting at first, but once you do enough of them, it's lather, rinse, repeat. You understand, what you're looking for and what you're actually trying to get out of these interviews, and it definitely gets a little bit easier.
I remember actually when we were looking at what roles you wanted to apply for, and you're like, do I want to go down the technical pathway or down the consultative pathway? And because your background, right, you've got a background in recruitment, you're used to talking to people, and you're good at building relationships. I remember us being like, yeah, the consulting pathway is definitely the one for you. I'm sure you're glad you chose that pathway. You mentioned at the start of the chat that you want to become a fully fledged consultant. What are the next steps to getting to that stage?
Yes. Essentially, it's just being able to, take on engagements myself, and do the end-to-end process. Like at the moment, associates, when you start off, you're there to assist on projects, whether it's, handling small little tasks, sending communication emails, ensuring meetings are set up, taking notes during the meetings, that sort of stuff. Whereas moving into a consultant, I'll be the one, dictating the terms, making sure that we are covering all the details, asking the questions, and leading the engagements.
Awesome, mate. And there's some of those people that you're speaking with. So obviously the works one, you go then out and consult. Without going into too detail of who the clients are, what types of businesses, like business size or industries, are you guys helping at the moment?
It really varies. We work across many different sectors, your finance, your governments, law. That's the beauty of consultancy, right? Is that you're going to have that variety in a job, and potentially you won't, each job won't be the very same. So that's also something I took on and appreciated. Was I like to have a bit of spice in my day job.
Nice. It's good to change it up. And as you said, if you're out client facing, rather than, some people like it. Some people like the regularity, I guess, of just sitting at their desk, doing the same thing day in, day out, or even not even sitting at their desk in the office, being home. I interviewed a student that was successfully placed at Fujitsu. Actually, I had a chat with him a couple of days ago. Raphael loved working from home, sitting at his desk, just doing the same thing day in, day out, right? Whereas other people like yourself enjoy going out there, meeting new people, changing it up a bit, and it might not be as monotonous, right? And can change your day up a little bit. Do you find that, like, what other transferable skills from your recruitment background have you found that you've now transfer into your cyber consulting space as well?
One of the key things I found from recruiting I've managed to bring over, like I've been told that a sign of a good consultant is someone that can run, say, 4 different engagements. They're not necessarily going to be the 4 same engagements. So you're going to have to take one hat off, put the next hat on, and move from, like, you might be doing risk assessments, and then in an hour or two, you're then moving on to an ISO gap assessment or something like that. And basically, at my last job, I was recruiting for 5, 6, 7, 8 different types of roles. So I wasn't going to talk to 100 of the same people over and over again. It was all about understanding your competing priorities and understanding that you have to change your mindset and your approach to each job. And like I said, you could do that 4 times a day.
Yep. No, you're spinning a few plates and having different types of conversations with different industries and different businesses. I think it's a really cool skill that you can transfer over. What is completely different? What is something that you're like, all right, I'm comfortable because I've done that before. What about on the other side of the spectrum? What is like, okay, this is something I've never experienced before. It is a new industry and I really need to work on it.
Yeah, 100%. Wrapping my head around a lot of the technical terms and that sort of stuff. I know I was quite fortunate doing a lot of the certifications through Cyber Revolution gave me that head start and understanding. I know there was a few people within the cohort that had no technical background whatsoever. Don't get me wrong, I'd never worked in tech, but yeah, having that base understanding of your technical terms and understanding different encryption types and that sort of stuff, so that when you're asking the questions, you're not just asking questions that you don't even know what it means, because you get hit with a counter question, and then you're going, "Oh, that's a good question. I will get back to you."
Which I assume as a consultant, right? It's probably not the best look.
Yeah, 100%. But the way CyberCX kind of sets everything up is that you're never left on your own. You're always going to have someone there that's your SME, which is your subject matter expert, that you can turn to. And if you get those curly questions, there's someone to help as well. So it's definitely good in that regard that you get plenty of support.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. And so, as you said, you're now client facing, you're out there doing it. What are you, I guess, most excited about within your future over the next couple of years in regards to your personal growth and also your professional growth?
Gaining more certifications, knowledge, learning. I'm a massive person for you never stop learning. As soon as you think you know it all, that's when you just go stale and, funky, no good. Obviously, professional growth. I'm a bit of a leader at heart, so ideally in the next couple of years, I would like to be growing my own team or leading a portion of our team. That's definitely an aspiration of mine. And given the size of the company and their goals that they've got, it's definitely achievable, and they have the pathways already lined up to help you achieve that as well. So, yeah.
No, awesome, man. I think that, I say this so many times, and I think it's one of the best traits somebody who wants to get into cybersecurity can have is they're a lifelong learner. Like, I've speak to, and you would attest to this, I'm sure there's plenty of people in the organization that you speak to that have been in the industry for 20, 30 years and they're still upskilling. Like, it is so important to be able to always be doing new certifications, upskilling yourself, because as you said, the moment you decide to stand still, you're essentially going backwards. So that's really, really important. Team leader, that's pretty cool in regards to career progression. Let's have a quick chat about, I guess, one or two other things or things that are motivated now that you're in the industry. What are two other things that stand out for you as motivators moving forward? Why this is going to be a really good career for you? You've got career progression. Are there any other things that stand out for you?
It's future-proof. Realistically, everything's pointing in the way of tech, and Australia especially is learning over the past couple of years how much we are behind in cybersecurity. So I know that I'm going to have ample work for the onset, really. I don't think I'll ever be out of work unless, something really drastic happens. But it's definitely having that job security and ability and opportunity, I guess.
And why is job security important for you?
I've got a young family, so definitely ensuring that I can help provide in that sort of manner. Taking an initial pay cut from doing what I was doing to moving into cybersecurity, where the roof and the earning potentials is definitely a lot higher, was something that stuck out to me.
One step back, 5 steps forward kind of thing. I think we had that conversation, right? Probably about 2 years ago, when you were saying, "Oh, this is a bit of a risk for me. I really needed to come off." And I'm so pumped and proud of you, mate. You've obviously done it. You've put the work in. You're in the industry, and now it's time to really, as you said, you're the kind of person that's going to continuously put your head down, develop and move forward. You're in the industry now, and I think you've got a really, really, really exciting career ahead of you, mate. 3 tips for somebody listening right now I'm putting you on the spot here. Give maybe 3 tips for somebody listening who's either looking at getting into cybersecurity or they're already in cybersecurity looking to progress their career. They might just be a newbie into the industry like yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Looking to get in, I think I said it last time, networking is gold. Regardless of whether it's an online webinar or just adding people on LinkedIn, chatting to people, or going to events, it's priceless sort of information that you can get. Like, I went to a networking event last night, learned a bit more about like cyber intelligence, spoke to a few other people in the industry, and you'd be surprised about the little things that you pick up in conversation that you weren't planning on learning, which is exciting. Number 2, as I said before, don't stop learning. It's an industry that's rapidly changing and will continue to. It's not something that's going to stop and stay still. So continue to learn, to continue to upskill. And thirdly, I guess, understand what you want out of your career as well. So, if you want to go down that leadership path, or, start getting under managers and realize, or I guess take in how people run their teams, that sort of stuff. If you want to be a subject matter expert and just continue to learn and be the person that people turn to understand a certain topic, go for it as well, because the amount of different avenues you can take in cybersecurity is phenomenal. There's not a day that goes past that I realize, wow, I could also go down and do that as well. It's quite vast.
I think, mate, the one that stands out for me there is the networking. We preach it all the time here. Networking events occur face-to-face, like the one that you attended last night. The more people you can actually shake hands with, ask questions with, and cybersecurity people are so keen to spread their knowledge and help people get into the industry. Like it's I'm not just saying that. That is so, so true. I see it all the time because, and my theory is that cybersecurity people over the past 10, 15, 20 years, only up until recently, that they've kind of lived in their own little bubble and they've not been able to speak to people, or everyone's not really been all of that interested in cybersecurity, I think, until the past 5 years. And so they haven't actually been able to help people, or people haven't actually expressed all that much interest in the industry. So they haven't spoken about an industry they're so passionate about. And so now I go to an event and the events are busy. There's so many people there. There's newbies picking the brains of all of these people that have been there for 20 and 30 years. And they're like, finally, I can help these people and talk about the industry that I'm passionate about. Have you found that? Or even actually, maybe a better question would be, now that you're in the industry and say you're at a networking event or at a family event or a friend's event and someone asks you, what do you do for work? And you say cybersecurity. Are they like really, really interested in it? And they ask you a bunch of questions?
Yeah, 100%. As soon as I mentioned cybersecurity, oh yeah, cool. So you keep the internet safe or something like that is generally a pretty funny one to hear. But I guess also they go, what do you even do? Like they understand, I'm there to keep things safe and keep everything turning. But at the end of the day, until you think about it, you go, what is cybersecurity? And then that's where the answer gets even bigger as well. Because you go, well, depends on what sort of sector you want to look at and what practice you want to look at in cyber as well.
Yeah. I reckon 5 years ago, if a random person asked somebody like, oh, what do you do for work? And they said cybersecurity, they'd just be like, oh, I'm not going to ask any questions because I'm feeling out of my depth here and I don't really know much about it. Whereas now, that question's asked and answered. Everyone always is like, they're always like, oh, yeah, I was a customer of Optus or Medibank or whatever it might be. And so, it's really, really interesting, mate. And you're on the right path. So as I said, unbelievably proud of you, mate. And we're going to continuously track your journey over the next couple of years and onwards and upwards for you, mate. And really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to, come on and tell your story.
No, all good. My pleasure.
Awesome. All right, guys. That's it for another episode. If you enjoyed this one, I want you to like, comment, subscribe to our channels. If you want to learn a little bit more about the program or our job placement program that Ben went through, just head to cyberevolution.com.au. You can leave your details there and someone from the team will be in touch. Thanks for listening.